I'll just do that. So, but I don't. I guess your kids were maybe a little bit older, but when COVID hit, now where were you? Were you in
I was in
Taiwan?
Taipei, so COVID
Oh,
didn't.
for
It
us,
yeah, it was like nothing.
the kids were in first grade, and everybody was suddenly on Zoom. And I mean, it was such an incredible nightmare. But the hilarious thing is, first grade is when everybody loses their teeth. So you have these kids' faces on Zoom, and all of them are missing teeth.
All right, okay.
It's really funny. And a lot of it was recorded. And thankfully, we had the best teacher ever. I mean, because a lot of teachers didn't adjust well to virtual teaching.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
Hmm.
of them just did a horrible job of it. Some of them
Right.
didn't care. But our teacher was just one of those lovely sort of, I mean, she was so perfect. And whenever the kids got out of hand, she just pushed the mute button and everything went quiet, because all the parents are sitting next to the kids. They're only first grade,
Okay.
But anyway, okay. So why don't we get started? It is Wednesday, 9:03, and we just want to sort of do a weekly update. Now, Jim, last time you and I talked, we were talking about, how much time we have to commit and all that,
Yeah.
and whether how much is going to change. I was thinking that just to make it really brief, remember, I had to step away for almost 9 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think at any given time, any number of us might not be as available as we were before, but then we'll come back when things change. Life happens. And so I think in your case, there really is no changes to make. The title's still the same. You're still gonna do the weekly calls. You're just not as available right now because of work commitments and stuff like that. So I think there's nothing to just. Initially, you and I were like, well, let's talk about this more and more. I don't think I think it's good. I think we're good with it, right?
Okay, yeah, but like I can't put in like almost like any time. Like my mornings are
Oh,
shot. Like I see like you like messaging people and like I'm like, oh, I was like, no, like I can't
oh
even
no,
talk about
no, no,
yeah,
no,
so like
no, Jim.
yeah.
I think that you've made, you just like I said, it's normal for any of us to have to step back for whatever reason, it could work or personal, whatever. But I think that as long as you've communicated it, and to me, I'm good with it. As long as you can do this weekly call with me, I'm good. I mean, it's some
Okay.
of the meetings that are happening. It's always good for you to be on it, but you know what? They're being recorded. So you could just watch it in your car one day when you have time. It's not
Hmm.
pertinent that you be at all the meetings. It's always better that you are, because you're the only person besides me that knows everything that's going on. But as long as you're watching it later when you have time, that's perfectly fine. I'm perfectly capable of running an email, of running a meeting with myself. Obviously, if
Right.
you can join, I'll always invite you, because I'll always want you to be just, it's almost like you don't need to do anything, Jim. But one of the things that I learned very quickly when working with you is that, yes, I mean, I tend to do all the talking, but I notice that, you're always observing and you absorb it and then you
Hmm.
apply it. And I hear you talking about it later, in other meetings, because that's just the way I don't know, we just have a good balance like that. If both of us were big talkers, then I think it would be a huge problem. But you know, anyway, I think that for the time being, the most critical role that you play, as far as I'm concerned, is just to be the person I'm bouncing off ideas with, the person I'm talking to when there are issues like we had, and just a weekly phone call like this. I'm good. I'm good. And
Okay.
as long as you're good with that, if it until things change, because things do change. They're
Right.
always changing. Nothing stays the same. And who knows? Maybe there'll come a time when I have to, pull back, scale back. But right now, I'm able. I'm able to
Hmm.
do the whole. I went like the Mach 20 or whatever you Mach 10. Mach 10. I never heard of
Hmm.
that before, man. That sounds like a Tom Cruise term, so I went and looked it up. I thought it was MOCK 10, but I guess it's MACK 10. I was like, okay, this is what.
Right.
But you were saying how everything is Mach 10 right now. It's like LBAI, Bodies, like sports, and then your job and all this other stuff that you're doing. So, it's all good. I'm good with it as long as you're good with, I think the conclusion is that you're good for weekly calls, right?
Yeah, yeah. I can
And
do
if we
weekly call.
can't, we can't. We'll just do it the following week, But it's just good
Hmm.
what's good about these weekly calls is that so much happens every week. And if it's nothing else but me just downloading and putting it out, onto these recordings and you get you telling, you giving feedback like yes, no, good idea, adding your input. But it's almost like it's almost like public hearings. You have
Hmm.
weekly public hearings until an issue is resolved. And it's just good to have it recorded so that anybody who wants to know what's going on and keeping up with it can. And we also have a permanent record if we ever need to look back and say, okay, what did we talk about in June? What was going on at that time? It's just good for any organization, be it nonprofit or even a company, in my opinion, to have this sort of, it doesn't have to be a recorded meeting, but it should be a recording, whether it's meeting minutes. Generally, traditionally, it is meeting minutes for any organization, right? You have weekly board meetings. That's basically what we're doing, Jim. We're having weekly board members. We're like the board members. We're having weekly board meetings, and you've been in enough meetings. They're quite formal. They announce who's there, what time it is, who is attending, what the topic is, and they vote on decisions, and then they end it when the meeting's over, and it goes into a record somewhere. It's like an HOA meeting. Think of it like an HOA meeting, right? So I think, I mean, you indicated to me where you are right now, and I'm like, I'm good with it. Can you do weekly meetings? And if you can, again, if you get to a point you're like, okay, I got to cut it back to half, once every other week, and I'm like, okay, we're good. I'll work around it. We can work around it. All right, sound
Okay.
good? All right, cool. All
Yeah.
right, so I think today's meeting is going to be short, but important. So it's a couple of things. I want to talk to you about my meeting with Cindy Liu, the Deputy Director of OCAC in San Francisco. That was a 4-hour meeting. I'm not going to talk to you for 4 hours about it, but and then we'll talk about the sort of the some adjustments to the July 4th reunion itinerary.
Hmm.
I think we have a plan, so I'm really excited about it. And then we're going to talk about that at the counselors meeting on Saturday, which you're going to be at another reunion, so I know you can't make that. But and then finally, I'll talk to you about my long conversation with Lisa Mao today. It's
Okay.
all good. Okay, so Cindy and I have been trying to get together to talk for a long time, probably more than a month. And you can see our thread. It's like, hey, can you get to now? Can you get together?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
ultimately, we decided to just hang back after the meet and greet on Sunday and have dinner together,
Okay.
because we're both there. By the way, let me take a step back. That event was amazing. That meet and greet, in some ways, it was even better than the reunion. I don't know if it was because the momentum was there and it was round two for some people. It was like some of them came in 2024 and they came again at this meet and greet. And maybe it was because we were more organized. We've learned, of course, there's lessons learned. Like last time, we screwed up with the whole microphone and speaker. This time, the team got it together. They got
Mm.
everything they needed. Last time, we didn't keep our eyes on the VIP, which would be Cindy Liu at the time. This time we did. And when we sat down and did the group photo, we made sure she sat front and center like she should. Like you always treat government officials who are there to speak, right? They should always sit at the front. We screwed that up in 2024. So a lot of things, I think everything went right this time. It was really quite incredible. When we were doing speeches, my thought was, okay, simple. Let's keep the speeches short. Last time we had a lot of speeches and it was a lot really long. I'll take responsibility for that, but no need this time. But what I ended up doing is I invited all the counselors to come up and introduce themselves. This is, we've been talking about the counselors for a while now because we're talking about, the whole panel discussions with local counselors in Taipei and panel discussions with the overseas. You and I were talking about that when we were at the embassy suites. It all began there. I think that's the time we did confirm that, yeah, we're gonna do this panel discussion with counselors, right? That was
Hmm.
what, in April? I think that was in April. So we already knew. But the thing is, Jim, maybe I don't know yet. So it was like as we were working on, I was working on some stuff about what we could talk to the counselors about. It occurred to me, I'm like, duh. It's like, okay, if you're running a business, who do you take care of the most? Your best, most loyal customers, right? Because they're going to come again and again and buy your products or buy your bubble tea or whatever you're selling. Who's the most loyal customers of the Love Boat program?
I mean,
The
yeah.
counselors, they would have attended and then they would have come back and applied again to go again. They're the repeat customers, right?
Yeah.
And some of them went two, three, four, five. I heard somebody went 5 times as a counselor. Like that's another question I have for them. I'm like, okay, how did some counselors get to go so many times? Like, what about all the other people that wanted to do it? But that's when I was like, duh, Christine, hello. We should have been talking to the counselors a long time ago. Interestingly enough, when we met with Zhong Zuren in LA, we have a video of her saying to us, hey, because I was showing her, remember when I was sitting next to her and I was showing her
Right.
and you were filming me? And she's like,啊，你们应该找那个辅导人，然后有一个什么什么活动给辅导人出来. And I was like, yeah, yeah, we'll do that. But I wasn't really, well, we were beginning to talk about doing this, the panel discussions already. But
Hmm.
ultimately, you know, think about it. Not only are they the most passionate, the most committed, but they're the ones with administrative and operations know-how, because then why would you come back to be a counselor if you're not inclined to be a good event planner or logistics planner, right? So, hello, we should have been talking to them a long time ago. They are key. They are key. And the whole time I'm thinking, I know counselors, but I know so little about what they did, and I really didn't think too much about it. So, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let me first just work on getting the students together and let's just do the podcast for the students. And maybe next year, once we get a little bit more settled in, we can turn our attention to the counselors and do counselor podcasts and do something else with the counselors. I mean, that's how in my mind, I had separated the two because it's a whole nother community. I mean, I've always known it's a whole nother community, but it's only because we're trying to consider whether or not to relaunch the program. And in order to get to initiative number two, we need to find out. I'm sorry. In order to consider relaunching the program, we need to find out how it was run. And who knows how it was run? The counselors. And that led to us having the interest of doing these panel discussions. So, anyway, one thing led to another, and it's all good. That meeting with the counselors was just not a lot of people showed up, but the right people showed up. And we were able to nail down some really key details about the reunion on the 4th. We've got momentum. We've got like Vincent. You probably don't know Vincent Chang, but his sister Wendy is a turbo kicker. She's been in my turbo. We've been doing the same. We've been in the same turbo kick classes for years, years,
Okay.
and we didn't even start talking to each other until many years later because she was always like, she kind of intimidated me a little bit. She's tall, beautiful, and she's always in the front row. She was
All
too
right.
cute. And her moves are really powerful. And I'm just like, okay, she intimidates me. And then
Okay.
but I knew her husband for a while, and her husband had done some video. We did some quasi wannabe video recordings of some routines with some other Turbo Kick friends. I didn't know they were married. And one thing led to another. Then I eventually met her, and then still years went by. Didn't know she was from Lopo. Not until we did the reunion in 2024, and she's like, "Oh, I went to the Lopo too." I'm like, "What?" Vincent is her brother, and Vincent was a counselor in '89. That's right. She went in '88. It was '88 or '89, one of them. But interestingly enough, he was a counselor the year that she was a student. And I was like, and in fact, he was her counselor. And I was like, how did that go? Because like I wouldn't want my sibling to be my counselor. That would suck. Especially like if an older brother. But she's like, it was great. I had a really good time. I'm like, well, did he give you special privileges and let you sneak out without looking, did he turn a blind eye? She's like, no, no, I never snuck out. I was good. But anyway, Vincent is gung ho. And I had mentioned somewhere in one of my posts, I'm like, because um, when I, oh, well, it was one of the most recent posts that had to do with the July 4th reunion. Facebook has a, I'm learning so much about Facebook. As far as a community organizer, that thing kicks butt. I have to say, it is a killer app. So what I can do, what I started doing is like I would post an important announcement in the Love Boat Alumni Initiative private group. And then I would copy and paste and post it on my personal one if it was relevant. And then I would copy and paste it to the counselors Facebook group. And then I do the same because you and I are both part of the Taiwan Love Boat 1991, Pierre Wu's group. Aren't you in that group? 1991?
Uh, Yeah, but I don't think it's very active. It's like
It's
one
not at
post a
all.
year.
It's not active at
Yeah,
all, but there's a lot
yeah.
of people there. So when I can remember, I try to always involve. Well, as it turns out, duh, of course, somebody at Facebook thought about it already. All I have to do is post it once on my feed. And then there's a forwarding feature that you can forward it to your groups. And you can, and then all your groups appear. Like I have, I don't know, 15, 20, who knows? I've got a lot of groups, but it says you can forward this to up to 9 groups. And so I'm just clicking all those different groups, all the Love Boat groups, the counselor groups, our group, Love Boat. And I just do, and I click it, and everybody gets a copy on their feed. So if I, I tend to be a perfectionist when it comes to writing. So, but I don't always have time to get it right the first time because I'm on the run. So I'll post up a basic information. And then when I have time, I'm lying in bed and I'm sideways like this, going like this on my phone. Then I'm like, that I could use a better word. So I'll edit my posts. Well, it used to be that I would go to every single manual post that I made and try to remember to edit to make it a little bit better because you want your messages to be short, concise, appealing. You try to
Right.
communicate a story. But with this Facebook feature, I'll just have to edit it once on my own feed, and it populates everywhere because it's the same feed everywhere. So anyway, so one of the ones that I ended it, I saw on my list. I'm like, the Taipei Yang Gang. Of course, let me post there. First of all, very few people are posting there right now. I don't know. He's not running for president again. I mean, he's not a candidate right now, so there's less activity at the Taipei Yang Gang. Are you in that group? You probably are.
I don't know. Yeah, like Peter started it, I think.
Peter Wang?
Like someone like I don't remember, but like anyways, I probably am, but like that's like a defunct sort of like yeah, like no one's
Exactly.
really
It's
yeah.
pretty much inactive. But when I saw it on the list, I thought, why the heck not? Because the beauty of this feature is that some of the private Facebook groups are monitored and have to be, every post is approved. Like Piers is like that. So he'll see my post come through the feed, and then he can approve or deny it. So I just assume that I'm going to try to add it to all these different groups. And if anybody says no, they can just delete it. It's not a big deal, right? So I
Hmm.
posted on the Yang Gang, the Taipei Yang Gang, and I was like, hey, I know, pretty sure Andrew's brother went on the Love Boat. And if that is the case, we would like to invite both him and Andrew to come to our July 4th reunion. And if they can, I don't remember how much I said, but if Andrew Yang would lend his star power to what we're trying to accomplish at that reunion, by all means, we would like for him to be there, right? But I also
Of
said, hey,
course, yeah.
if anybody else in the Taipei Yang gang that's a Love Boat member, I bet you 50% of them are, right? And so we'll see how that all plays out. But I noticed that certain posts are getting lots and lots and lots of hits. So
Hmm.
in any case, so I think Vincent saw me do that, or I must have said, he's like, hey, I know somebody that knows him, and we can get right into his company, into his camp, and we can get a personal invite over to him. Now, there's a buzz that he's considering running for president again, and if he is, then and if supporting us doesn't conflict with his campaigns, if it aligns or is neutral, then hopefully he'll come. If he doesn't come, maybe he can send a video message to say, hey, or his brother can simply make a statement, hey, I had a great time. Well, I don't know if he had a great time on the Love Boat. I've heard different
Hmm.
things, but not everybody had a good time. But everyone certainly appreciates the friendships today, the old friendships being made and the new ones being made, right? I think that's more important, if anything, is that we have this community today. We can help each other. We can support each other. We can have great reunions together. So it's all about going forward. It's about the future. It's about today. It's about the future. So anyway, that was pretty exciting. So Vincent was on it. Now he's texting me going, hey, do you have flyer about July 4th? I'm like, Vincent, I do have to sleep at some point. That's why we're having this meeting on Saturday because, okay, I think I can go ahead and move into that conversation, but let's see. All right, I'm sorry. I let me follow my path. Okay, so let me go back to Cindy Liu's meeting. Now, apparently, you remember that I met with the Deputy Minister, Elaine Lee, OCAC Deputy Minister, for 10 minutes. I was given 10 minutes of her time. And I quickly told her what we're doing for July 4th, that we're very interested in seeing how we can relaunch the program. I was actually expecting her to say, yeah, no, OCA is not going to do that. She's like, wow, that sounds really interesting. I'll be there. So she, that's when she confirmed. She's like, send me a proposal and we'll see what we can do. I take that to mean that they're open to helping us financially, sponsorship, something, any kind of sponsorship. We'll take anything they'll give us, right? So, but of course, we haven't yet nailed down the itinerary, and therefore we don't know which rooms we want to rent. And so there's all these question marks. We're still pending. And so when I met with her, she was like, yeah, Christine, I've been trying to reach you too because their headquarters is pushing me to push you to submit something because they, at the very least, they need a formal invitation. They can't even begin to do anything until LBAI sends them a formal invite that, hey, please come to the. I'm like, okay, I said, Cindy, I'm more than aware of it. I did tell her we needed at least another week or two to pull it together because I was on travel, I was dealing with my parents, and she understood. She did give me that time. I did explain it very clearly to her that I couldn't just give it to her right away. But I'm confident that after we meet with the counselors on Saturday, it will all be nailed down. So I'll talk to you about what the new itinerary is. Okay, so there was that. And I was like, Cindy, I need advice from you on how to submit the proposal. What can I include? Because I don't want to ask for the moon if it's not even a possibility. So she helped me to understand like how do you what to add to the proposal, include known attendees. For example, Rose Chung, Miss Chinatown, she's coming. She's buying tickets and coming. You know,
Hmm.
um, there's a lot of people that are coming now, right? So she just gave me like the bullet points of what to include that OCAC can run with. So that was really helpful, right? And I was like, well, I said, does headquarters do you remember I sent like a formal email to the directors in the Bay Area and in LA and said, I'm really sorry, but after everything, we cannot apply for Chowtuan, and that I will let
Right.
headquarters know that too, as a courtesy. I wanted to tell the directors here first because we've been talking to them and they've been pushing us to apply, and we kept saying, yeah, we're going to get it done. And so as a courtesy to them first, but I never did. I haven't yet sent it to headquarters because I want to include everything else I want to include instead of emailing them constant with different things. I'm trying to be efficient here, right? And so I asked her, I said, do they understand why we can't be a child time? And she's like, yes, yes, they do, but you have to remember, I mean, she's so great. I'm so glad to have her as sort of a resource. She's like, you have to remember this is a bureaucracy and they need things filled out. They need you to for Chow Wei Hui to give you money. We have some money to give you. It's not a lot, but we have some. But the standard process for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Chow Tuan is you fill out the form. So then we can have you in our records. It's just a record. It's not like in the US when you apply for a grant, they're asking for your social security and everything under the sun about yourself, and you go into this record that you're applying for a formal grant with the federal government or with the state government, right? And so um, I said, this is where I started to get philosophical with her. I'm not sure if you got it, but I'm like, Cindy, we are not a child time. So I said, I'm like, we are not just some random community organization of Taiwanese Chinese people overseas. We are the product of OCAC. There's a big difference. We wouldn't exist if it wasn't for OCAC. You guys created us, and she knows that. So, it comes down to what's the word for it where, on the one hand, we're talking about a technical term here. On the other hand, it is a big deal because we are not a Chowtuan. We're not a Chowtuan. We should be treated specially. And I think that so we talked about the whole reason. I said, just in case it wasn't clear last time, I said there are, especially the older generation of alumni, I would say the 1970s and 60s. They come from the old guard, so to speak, and they're, for them, the complaint or the concern is that many of them are affiliated with, for example, China. They come from China. They immigrated from China. They escaped the war and came to Taiwan. They're white men. I said, They think of us, if we're affiliated with OCC, they think of us as being affiliated with the DPP. They do not want to. As I told you, there's a whole group, 1976, basically. They basically heard about what was going on and said, we're not gonna be part of it. And they got into a big fight internally, apparently, and someone yelled at Debbie. But Debbie is a big volunteer for our Bay Area group. Agnes's sister, Agnes's sister,
Right.
Debbie, 1976. She's the one who pulled the whole group together. And that's the only year that we know of that managed to call everybody in the yearbook and get them together and have annual reunions. The only one. So that's what I said to I don't remember who I was talking about. I was like, I totally expected a big representation from 1976 at our 2024 reunion. But there were only two people from 1970, Debbie and Darlene. Why is that? You know, it wasn't until recently I found out. I ran into one of the 1976 or some tutoring. We ran into each other at this building that I never go to. I was just there dropping off, kids, and I was like, "Hey, aren't you Loco?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm Christine. I'm part of LBAI." She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember I saw your video." I'm like, how come none of you came to our 2024 reunion?" I said, "We had a big turnout from 1990s and the 1980s, but what was up? What's going on?" She's like, "Well, yeah, there was like a big objection internally, and they yelled at somebody, one of the guys apparently, yelled at Debbie and ever since then, Debbie's like, okay, I'm not going to talk about LBAI again to my group.
Hmm.
All because of a misunderstanding, because they thought we were too close to OCAC. That's one. So I explained this to Cindy. I'm like, that's one reason right there where we cannot be at CHINATOWN. We basically lost an entire year, 1976, and I'm having to go back and talk to them about it and send them all the meetings that we've had when we talked about why we're not going to be at CHINATOWN and really try to convince them. And a few came. Like one of the at the Sunday meet and greet at the Grand Bay Hotel, one of the counselors was from 1976, Kurt. So he came and he spoke and he talked about, how much he really just so much appreciates the Love Boat, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, so happy to see him there because I thought we lost all 76 except for Debbie and John Folk and Darlene. Those three, funny enough, those three come from 1976. Those three are some of the most active volunteers. Oh, Darlene shows up, but she commits, and John does a lot. John's been doing our infographics, our AI stuff, right? Those
Yeah.
three are so involved with LBAI, but the rest of them don't even show up. So anyway, I trust that over time we will be able to clarify misunderstandings. But as you and I have talked about many times, when it comes to the Love Boat story, there is so much misunderstanding. So I think it's become our job to try and clarify what's going on. So anyway, so I told that to her and I said, likewise, so that's why some families have concerns that we're affiliating ourselves with a DPP organization. She's like, we're not like that. We're not politically. I'm like, I know that, but they don't know that. And if anything, they're ABCs, ABTs. So they may not have a full understanding of Taiwan politics the way that the first generation does. So I said, we just cannot keep explaining it to them. We just cannot be a CHINATOWN. I said, likewise, DPP families, I've heard a lot of complaints that OCAC
Hmm.
OCAC is KMT sponsored. They don't want anything to do with LBAI if we're going to work with OCAC because OCAC is KMT. So we're losing everybody. Nobody wants to come because we're trying to. So I said, Cindy, this is not good for us. If we want to be affiliated with you as a CHINATOWN, then we're going to lose all our members. Then we're not going to have any members, and you're not going to want to be affiliated with us, right?
All right.
It's like a joke. It's funny. This is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that it's funny. But in any case, so I said, can you help me to communicate this with the headquarters that we're not trying to be like disrespectful or like we're not trying to make a point or anything. We just simply can't. We want to work with Chow Wei Hui in every possible way we can. We continuously court them. I'm in your office talking to you, right? I said we want you to come to speak. We want to work together, but we just can't register as a CHINATOWN. So that means we can't get money. if we can't get financial support from Chow Wei Wei because we can't be at Chinatown, I think that's also a problem. And I said, I feel that OCAC should really sit down and have a meeting internally and come up with a different way to work with us or not, you know? But anyway, that's what OCC wants to do is obviously on them. But I think at some point I'm going to give up trying to explain why A, we want to work for them, A, we could use some financial assistance, but B, we cannot do it your way. We cannot do it the bureaucratic traditional way. So anyway, it is government. It's a lot to ask of them. They have their process and procedures, as does any government. So we have
Hmm.
to respect that too. So I don't know how it's all going to work out, but that led to my. Then I said to her because I had a list of things I had to talk to her. I'm like, Cindy, I'm sorry, I have so many things to talk to. We met for 4 hours, and but she's a fast talker and I'm a fast talker, and thank God we can just get through our conversations and move on to the next thing. But I was like, the other thing, Cindy, is I said it doesn't work for us to meet with OCAC representatives that don't know about the Love Boat. I said the effort for us to educate them. And I said, how many employees are at the OCAC? You've got 13. How many employees? So she told me, I'm like, we have none. We don't even have a part-time employee. And the time it takes to explain the Love Boat to OCAC rep, it's like, it's just, we don't have the capacity. We do not have the manpower. So what I'd like to ask of headquarters, and I want to run it by you first, Cindy, is like, we need a contact at OCAC that we can just turn to and who can help us communicate with the right people inside OCAC. We cannot be meeting with every director at every location like we have been doing. We've now met with 3 separate location directors, Cindy, Sophia, and Zhuang Zuren, right? And then they turn over. They go back to Taiwan and we have to do it all. We don't have, it's one thing if we had a staff of 5 to 10 people and one in each location, we can actually cultivate relationships according to their cycle, but we cannot. So I said, would you be okay if I asked headquarters for you to be our contact person? I was like, we love working with you. So many people love you. I mean, she's like an unofficial Love Boat alumni at our event because it was funny when she was speaking and she spoke Sunday night. She was saying, I didn't know this until she said it in her speech. She goes, "Yeah, people were coming up to me and asking me what year I went." And I'm like, I wasn't born yet. And she shows them her name tag, or it's like, she's just a baby in 1991. So
Right.
people think because she's there and she's so young, they think that she's a Love Boat alum. She should be our mascot. We should give her like a special hat to wear or something. But she's just awesome and she gets it and she wants to support us. And she's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm willing to do that because she doesn't have she's the other 2 directors are just overwhelmed supporting the 600, 700 Chowtowns that they have. They each have
Yeah,
that
I'm
many.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Cindy's main role is Chinatown, Cantonese community. And
Okay.
that's why she has a special, she has a dedicated office um, in San Francisco. She is now sharing new offices, beautiful offices with Teco.
Oh, okay.
They have combined offices there, which
Right.
makes sense. And she told me the San Francisco OCAC office was the very first one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it plays a special role. She's like, back in the day, she gave me this whole history about how, back in the days in like the 1940s, 1930s. I mean, it goes back a long way. She's like, yeah, we used to work closely with the Cantonese, the Chinatown communities. Well, of course, that makes sense because those were the ones who were pulling together all the Chinese overseas people, right? Back in the day. Chinatowns were the LBAIs back in the day, right? So this is really interesting when you start thinking about the history of Chinese immigration to America. But in any case, so she's like, yeah, I can be a rep. She goes, I don't like if you want to plan an event with OCAC New York, well then you have to work directly with them. But I can certainly be your point person for headquarters and stuff like that, if they would agree. I'm like, great, because I'm gonna include that in my email to headquarters. So I was really excited about that because I've been wanting to do that for a long time. Like And I said, and again, I emphasize, I'm like, we cannot meet with people who don't understand us because we cannot, we can, you guys started us. You guys should be doing the research on who we are, right? It shouldn't be us explaining to, we're their project. They're not our project, but right now they are our project. We're trying to get them to understand why we're their project. I mean, it's so messed up. It's so messed up. And so I said, the other thing, Cindy, is that I think I think OCAC should send out, if nothing else, they should send out an internal memo to all the staff at OCAC and explain what Love Boat alumni are. Okay, granted, time has passed. New generation of employees, many have never heard of Love Boat. Fair enough. Then have an internal memo or file somewhere that if people run in, if they're being requested to meet with a Love Boat alumni, that they can look it up and say, okay, what's Love Boat? I mean, there's a movie, there's a documentary. They should have a profile. They should have a file on Love Boat alumni.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
they do. I'm feeling so frustrated right now. It's just
yeah,
like, it's just,
I mean, you can't do anything about their. That's the way they run their
exactly,
organization. Yeah,
exactly.
so don't even like worry about the stuff. It's
You're
just
right.
like,
You're right. You're right. I just needed to communicate that to her.
hmm
We're not going to spend our time trying to educate them anymore. It's on them to figure out if they want to do that. And I just made the suggestion that there needs to be some sort of internal memo to your staff.
I
Um,
mean, she could suggest it. Whether it gets done, it's probably
exactly.
not going to happen. It's
Well,
most likely, yeah.
exactly. You know what? Exactly. Not until, we'll see what happens after July 4th, especially if we can get star power, not just Andrew Yang. There are others on that list. And that's what we're going to be talking about on, we're going to be talking about on Saturday with the counselors meeting. So it's frustrating, but you're absolutely right. And that's why I'm saying to you on this call that I'm about to give up. I think I've done, Cindy is our last hope. It's kind of on her to have to try to convince headquarters that they need to look at us in a very different way. And she even said to me, she's like, Christine, it's government. As much as I want to change it, there's
Yeah,
only
I
so much.
mean, I doubt anything's like honestly, it's not going to happen. They don't. They're not going to invest any energies into this thing, right?
I, well, so that led to the conversation about July 4th. The the deputy minister asked for a proposal.
Right.
I'm
That's how they
assuming
work. Hmm
I'm assuming that means they're open to helping us somehow, right? Otherwise, why am I sending her a proposal, right? And so we ran down the list of asks that I came up with. And you always in negotiations, right? You always want to ask for everything under the sun because you know they're not going to say yes to everything. But if you ask for 100 things, maybe they'll give you 50. But if you ask for 10, maybe they only give you 5. So you want to ask for 100 things, right? So I had the whole
hmm
list, and she was very patient as I went down. Like, can they sponsor this and this and this and this and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, she's like, well, let me tell you how ACAC works. So generally, what they do with these Chinatowns is Chinatown. Let's say you submit for the big Taiwanese festival at Union Square. They provide a lot of money to TAP. I think it's Taiwanese American Professionals that runs the big festivals every year in San Francisco. So let's say you ask for $10,000. Well, OCAC might give you 3,000. Maybe they'll give you 5,000. It really just depends on what your event is and how much money there is and how much you
Right.
require it, right? Of course, that makes sense. She's like, but they're never going to give you 100%. And she's like, likewise, you don't want to take 100% because if they gave you 100%, then you are kind of at their mercy. Now, she didn't use those words. Obviously, she's a diplomat, but that's basically what she meant, which is true. Anytime you take 100% of money from anyone, you kind of are at their beck and call, or at least you need to try harder if they're asking you to do something, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
that's true. That's really true too. So again, it was so useful to meet with her in person for both ways. I think we both were able to get to yet another level of understanding between, OCAC and LBAI. Like, how can we work together? These are the conversations that need to be had, so we both understand what the other can offer and not offer, right? So, so so that led us to the asks, and I said, let me see, I
You
have
said
to
there were a bunch
check.
of them.
Yeah, I think I can just summarize it by saying she said, you know, What I'm thinking is back in the days, OCAC and 救国团, they took care of all the logistics, and us alumni just showed up to the camp. And in my mind, that's what's happening on July 4th. So I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, can OCAC sponsor the meet and greet and provide food and drinks? I'm like, it can be anything. It doesn't matter. You can just serve us tea and fortune cookies. No one cares about the food. It's just a matter of principle that OCAC welcomes us back to Taipei, and takes care. Like, so just like the Love Boat, OCAC orders everything and they have the people and they order everything. She's like, it's not going to work that way. That what Chow and what will do is they'll give you a lump sum of money. They don't care how you spend it. They just want to see, let's say you expect to spend $10,000, maybe they'll give you $3,000 to $5,000, and it's up to you how you want to spend it. They're not going to give you staff to order food and beverages. I'm like, okay, well
Yeah.
that's good to know. I mean, it makes sense. Like again, in my mind, I'm thinking we're recreating the Love Boat program. Alumni, we're going back, and so OC should have a reception for us, and we should just go, because we're still part of their organization. Is not the case. Obviously, I
Hmm.
don't know why my mind keeps going in that direction, but it's helpful for her to say that to me. But what I said to her, I said, Cindy, we have been reaching out to OCAC for 2 years now. We have met with multiple directors. We've had people meet with their headquarters. Headquarters knows we exist. And yet there has yet to be welcome back to Taipei, acknowledgement that we even exist. I was like, this is like the perfect opportunity for OCAC to have a small reception, simple food, crackers, I don't care, bubble tea. I was like, this is such a great opportunity that's basically falling in their laps. We're basically giving them this opportunity to host us for an hour of a reception. Welcome back to Taipei. We welcome your investments, your tourism, your children sending our summer camps. I'm like, this is a great opportunity for OCAC to make a speech, the usual. You guys can have your materials displayed there. You can talk to us about whatever it is you want to talk to us about. We're here
Hmm.
for you. I'm like, it shouldn't be me writing a proposal to them to involve them in this. To me, it should be the opposite. Again, we just talked about it. I'm like, they should say, hey, we would like to invite you to an OCAC reception to welcome you back to Taiwan. So I was like, I will write the proposal. I was like, I will follow. I'll do what they're expecting. I mean, because I do understand that it's a new day, it's a new year, it's a new generation, and that most of them have never heard of us. And this
Hmm.
time around, I guess I'll follow the instructions of submitting a proposal. But I mean, if not this time at Chien Tan to host a simple reception for 100 people at $10 a head, food in Taiwan is cheap. We're talking about, what are we talking about here? I'm sorry, I'm losing it here. Let's say it's $10 to $15.
It's not about the money. It's just what they
Exactly.
do. I mean,
Exactly.
that's their process. It's like we don't sponsor stuff unless they has a proposal. Like we don't really care who you are. Like I'm like me understanding your history and your importance to, Chow Wei Hui, that doesn't matter in my life, right? And
I
it's not going to
said
matter.
I said that to her. I said, $15 a head times 100 people is $1,500. I'm like, I could pay for it myself. I said, it's the principle of the matter. It's that
Yeah,
you want to be
but
acknowledged.
yeah, but the thing is like the current administration pretty much it doesn't matter to them, right? Unless they see like a reason for it to matter. And right now, like there isn't a reason. Like it's just like, okay, yeah, this was a great organization that like existed 30 years ago, but it hasn't been around for like another 12, 10 years. Like, why should I even care about this? Right.
That's exactly right. You
And
nailed it.
like, yeah, and like basically, well, we're trying to tell them like, but it is really important. It is really important. Look at all this stuff that's happened. And they're just like, I mean, it probably was, but like it's been like, 15 years now, right?
That's true.
So, you're trying to tell us about like unless there's something really there, right? It's like it's we find that this is like a mo more important group than you know the organization that spawned it because it is like the organization that spawned it, it's a different organization, right? It's just kind of
Well,
like everyone who
well,
was in there, you know, who had influence is pretty much out. So like we're trying to re-educate, right, the current sort of staff about, what history was, right? And this is why we should work together. But the current staff, they're probably gonna be very like, Chinese are very practical about it. It's just like, is this gonna help me in the future? Like, why should I do this? Right? Like, is my boss telling me to do this? Like, so it's they're very procedural, right? It's like, well, this isn't the way that yeah,
not just procedural. It is government. Any government would be like this, right? It's not
yeah.
just government. This
Hmm.
is the nature of government relations, right? So you're so funny. I like your version better than my version.
Hmm.
That is exactly right. But, however, we have not one, but two secret weapons. Lisa's father and
Okay.
this guy, I shouldn't say this guy, Zhang Liangming. Zhang Liangming. When I met
Okay.
with O Zuren, okay, I'll just show you. This is the director that I met with in Atlanta.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I was not in Atlanta to meet with OCEC. I was in Atlanta to see my family. and
Hmm.
and we were going to this, I don't know Atlanta. I'm just going for the car ride to pick up lunch. And apparently there's like this little Chinatown like strip mall where they have this one restaurant that everybody likes to eat at, some mom and pop Chinese restaurant. So I'm sitting, we're in the park, we're in the parking lot, and in the strip mall is this restaurant, and right outside this restaurant is one of the big Chinese media outlets. I have it somewhere. We just moved in, so this place is a mess. But and I was like, I was literally walking by the front door. So I was like, I popped in. I'm like, hey, I think it was China News, one of the big ones, top three. It
Okay.
was their Atlanta office, and I walked in. I was like, "Hi, my name is so and so, and have you ever heard of I just went love Bush." She's like, "Oh, of course." She was older. She's like, "Of course I have." I'm like, "Oh, well, we just had a reunion. It was the 2024 reunion. It was literally the month after the 2024, and it was really great. And I was like, I'd love to send you, press releases and stuff to your organization if you'd be willing to, if I can do that." She's like, "Sure, here's my card." So I got the card. She was really nice, and she goes, OCAC's office is right behind our office. I go, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, let me just take you outside." So she walked me out to the parking lot, and we turned the corner. There was this big building that was OCAC. I was like, "I'll be right back." So I called my brother because my brother was ordering food at the restaurant, and I called him like, "OCAC's office is right in the back. I'm going to be right there. Can you come get the food and come pick me up there?" So I walk into the office, and there's like no one there. OCAC facilities are quite big. You saw, right? Now that Atlanta's not as big. I mean, the biggest ones are on the West Coast, but still, it's big
Right.
and it's empty. And maybe it was their lunchtime. Maybe I was expecting to see people sleeping on their desks. You know how it is. So
Right. Right.
I go in, and sure enough, there's one employee and the director. Oh, Turin.
Right.
And I said, "Hi." And here I go again, right? "Do you know about the Love Boat? Let me tell you about the Love Boat." Blah, 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 blah. He's like, "Not only do I know about it, but I worked for it. I was on staff in
Hmm.
the 70s or 80s, something like that. I forgot. He wrote it down. I've got all the notes right here, and I managed to keep it because there was a point at one point I was just throwing everything away. But so he told me a lot of information that I'm not going to share here, but I was able to talk to him for a good 30 minutes until my brother was not happy. He's like, "Can we go now? I want to eat my food." But
Right.
the main takeaway is he goes, "The person at OCAC that you want to talk to, and that is very clear on the whole program, is the chief secretary. At the time, he was director general, Zhang Liangming." Can you see this? Am I reading this right? This one.
I mean, I can't. Yeah. Zhang Liangmin. Yeah.
Zhang Liangming.
Hmm.
Well, I looked him up. And today, his role is you have the minister
Hmm.
and you have some deputy ministers, one of which is Elaine Lee, whom I'm talked to, and the other one is Mr. Zhang.
Hmm.
That is who we need to talk to. We don't need to talk. Director all said, that's the person you want to talk to. And so that's the other thing I wanted to put in the ask. I'm like, can we invite him to our reunion? I think that would be really nice. So that's card number one. Card number two is Bertrand Mao, Lisa's dad. And I showed Cindy all of the information that we have about him. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, he set up the Love Boat program. He worked for the Ministry of Education. He was Director General in 1967. He's 93 years old and very able. And he might be coming. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, I said, 侨委会行李要准备. If the
Hmm.
original Director General of OCAC shows up, you might want to have a little bit more than tea and fortune cookies and bubble tea. You know what I mean? And she gets it. She gets it. But again, I don't know how much she can communicate. She can communicate all she wants, but who knows how they're going to react to her. I have no idea. Like you said, it's not our place to. I think the conclusion is that I have to stop trying so hard. Honestly, I've tried. That was my last hard push, is to have a long conversation with Cindy, hope that she really understands the implications here, and hope that she's able to move some small mountains, even small mountains within OCAC would be helpful. But the fact that we even have her as an ally is a huge, huge, huge blessing. And I said that to her because I want her to know how much we appreciate her. I was like, Cindy, I know this is going to sound so weird to you, but in my mind, the universe somehow worked its way so that she was the one who spoke at our 2024 reunion. It should have been her senior. It should have been Zhuang Zuren of Milpitas. She's the senior because Cindy is deputy director, 副主任, right? The only reason Zhuang Zuren didn't come is because nobody answered my 2 emails that I sent. I was like, we're trying to invite somebody from OCAC, and also their website is so confusing. So I'm like, okay, I couldn't tell between who should I contact, Milpitas OCAC or San Francisco OCAC. I'm just going to contact them both. And it finally came down to the very last minute. I'm like, we're about to have a reunion. It would be really odd. It would be inappropriate for there to be 2 OCAC offices in the Bay Area and us not have a speaker from them to just come and say hello. You know, it's just out of courtesy. We're inviting OCAC to come speak, and she ended up being the one. Not only because she's the young generation, right? She's more tech savvy. She totally gets it. But the most important thing is that when she came to and witnessed the 2024 reunion, she got it. She got it. And I remember I was telling you another meeting. I don't think you're a part of that meeting, but the day after that reunion was either the day after or 2 days after Max, because I threw them under the bus during my speech. I told them I was at their headquarters and nobody talked to me. I couldn't reach anybody at OCAC. I had to force my way into her office. So I purposely said that because I'm sending a message. They need to understand that we're trying. We're trying to talk to them. And I think she knew. She's smart. She's a diplomat. She knew what I was doing. So she texted me the very next day. She's like, Christine, I just want you to know how touched I was, 很感动, to
Hmm.
see all of you together. And just, I think the way she described it was like just to see the affection and just the joy that everyone felt being together. And she's like, I felt it too. And she immediately followed up by saying, OCAC welcomes you back to Taiwan. We welcome your investment. She listed, then she did the party line. We welcome your investment, your tourism, summer camps. We welcome you to visit. And she, you know what? She's the only person at OCAC that understands us and has welcomed us back to Taiwan. You know what I mean? The irony of it all. It's so funny. There's so many other things going on, Jim, that I might talk to you about tonight, um, but a comment has been made that one of these days, and now I'm going to say it for the record, There is going to be a movie called this, LBAI, especially if we're able to accomplish our goal of relaunching the program somehow, and especially if our voices are heard about Chien Tan. There is going to be a movie, and the movie's going to be hysterical. It's going to be hysterical. I can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, so I'm going to move on. I'm sorry, I'm just, it's again, I'm not getting any sleep, but it's more because um, there's just, I'm excited. I'm excited about all that we're going to be able to do with this reunion. It went from us trying to talk to local counselors to now I'll explain to you where we're going. Okay, so one more thing about OCAC. The Minister Xu, she is married, her husband is Caucasian. His name is Bo Tedders, Tedards. And
Hmm.
he's active politically for DPP as well. But they have a child who's within the age of attending the Love Boat. And somehow I learned, I don't even remember how, but I've known this for a couple of years now, that she has a keen interest in second generation.
Okay.
So if I were to take a wild guess here, I suspect she doesn't really know about LBAI, not to the extent, because if she has such an interest in second generation, I would be having a 10-minute conversation with her too. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe one day I'll get a call. Hey, Minister Shi wants to talk to you for 10 minutes. We'll see. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. The agenda for the reunion on the 4th. I think it's going to be this. You tell me what you think, okay? We start at 2 o'clock. So from 2 to 3:30, it's just going to be a meet and greet because a lot of people are going to see each other for the first time, 20, 30 years. So instead of just for 1 hour, an hour is logical when you're having an afternoon of activities, but I think we
Hmm.
want to give it until 3:30 instead of 3 because some people, like I know Len, he's coming from another, he has a university event, and he might run late. And so people are going to be coming from their own events on that Saturday. So we want to extend it a little bit. So 2 to 3:30 is the meet and greet. 3:30 to 4:30, we're going to go to that amphitheater. And the focus of that hour is how can we, LBAI, make our voices heard about our views about the demolition of Chien Tan. In other words, the panel discussion with the local counselors about what they know is not the priority over the possibility of Chien Tan being demolished. If Chien Tan is demolished, we might not be able to have Love Boat 2.0, you know? It's funny because the more I research this, the more I look into it, the more conversations I have, the more it's becoming so clear to me that if Love Boat 2.0 is relaunched and we do not have Chien Tan, let's say we have it. Like, did you see the movie? Did you see the movie Love in Taipei? Abigail's movie.
I actually couldn't finish it, honestly.
Because of the love story part.
I mean, it was just like a cheesy, like, teen. Yeah, that's why.
It
Yeah.
was. But I mean, the book is great. If you've read
Hmm.
the book is fantastic. But in any case, it was very simple storyline, right?
Hmm.
But you remember the campus was nothing like Chien Tan.
Yeah, I remember that was like,
And that
yeah.
was like one of the biggest complaints that all Love Boat alumni had. It was like, hey, that's not what we went to. It wasn't
Right, right,
fancy.
right.
We didn't dress up like that. But that's the thing. That's the thing, Jim. If we have Love Boat 2.0 at any other facility besides Chien Tan, it is not going to be the same. Our memories is not just the program itself. It's the physical buildings. It's the monastery. It's the dining hall. It's the hallways that we used to hang out in. It's the lobby. It's the big performance hall. So everything about Chien Tan is part of our story.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize it until now when something's about to be taken away from you, you start to appreciate it big time, right? And so I think that as more people are learning about the proposals that are being presented, there's different proposals, and I have to read the document that that Director Lee sent to Dean, who sent to us. I haven't sat down. I am going to read it, and I'm going to share it with the counselors on Saturday. Everybody needs to know what's happening with the Chien Tan proposal. So, but basically, so I'm like, let's rent that amphitheater. Let's get everybody together, and let's throw out ideas on what we can do to raise awareness of our thoughts about, and I talked to you about this before. We're not saying don't demolish this place. Ultimately, of course, we care about it. We don't want it demolished. But what we're saying is don't demolish it without first doing a proper evaluation of its impact. And we talked about that. That's the other meeting. That's all we're asking for them to do. At least that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to talk to the counselors and I'll get their thoughts on it. And I'm sure we'll come to a happy medium. If they don't agree with that, I'm sure we'll come with something or nothing. Maybe we can just leave it open so we can all get together and discuss it at Chien Tan, right? And how appropriate to have this meeting at Chien Tan at the amphitheater where we registered. It's the room. I mean, according to Vince, that amphitheater is the room where we all had to go through to register when we first got there. How beautiful. What? It's poetry. It's literally poetry. You know what I mean? I'm excited about it. That's why I can't sleep too. It's like, oh my God, this is like a movie. This is the movie. This is going to be the movie, right? Now, you got Andrew Yang and other people with star power. You got Bertrand Mao, the freaking original Director-General coming. It's like, we're all coming. Look out. Like literally the people who are proposing to demolish Chien Tan, they have no idea what's about to happen. Because I also want to invite the media to come and attend, sit in the amphitheater. Obviously they have to have press credentials. And I talked to Cindy about this too, and I'm glad I did, because she's like, because initially the thought was, let's have a press conference at Solomon's exhibit. That's a great place. That's common. Press conferences are often held at venues that make the point, right? And she said, okay, Christine, if you invite the press and you have a press conference, OCAC cannot have anything to do with this because we cannot get involved with any kind of political stance. Now, my initial thought, which I didn't express, was this isn't political. We're talking about a building. We're talking about preserving a historical landmark. So I can't see why OCAC, if anything, I would think would want to be part of it because the Love Boat is their baby. for OCAC to decide, okay, we're not going to be a part about this. We're not going to be a part of this alumni effort to try to save Chien Tan because again, the irony of it all is just it's gotten to be funny. But I understand what she was saying, and I thanked her for them. Like, you know what? That is really good for me to know because that means what I was hoping to have a press conference in the art exhibit may not be the way to go. However, Jim, you're low again. I'm only seeing your eyebrows at this point.
Yep, sorry.
Why don't you lower the laptop or whatever, the screen?
No, I just like leading down. It's okay.
All right. I'm sorry to keep honing in on that, but it's hard to talk to you when I'm talking to your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very visual person. I need to see people in person, actually. I don't like to do this virtual stuff, but if we have to do virtual, let it not be your eyebrows. So,
Mm-hmm.
And so then I thought, okay, well then let's this is after I left her meeting, and I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of a hiccup there because that's not what I was planning. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, let's rent that amphitheater. Let's have an honest discussion. It's so the thought is I'm not trying to set up something that's formal. I'm not trying to have a panelist of people that have this is going to be just all of us in a room sharing ideas on what we can do to raise awareness that we want to push forward a proper third-party neutral evaluation of the impact of Chien Tan on Taiwan's history, society, all of it, before any decision is made about what should happen to it. It's like us. We're trying to evaluate the Love Boat program before we decide whether or not to launch 2.0. Isn't that the prudent thing to do, right? Do your due diligence. Something that important and that historical. Do your due diligence. Evaluate it. We're doing what OCA should have done themselves, the way Birthright Israel does for their own program every year. Every program should be evaluated. That's why for LBAI, I'm like, after every reunion and after every meet and greet and every event, we're going to have a debriefing meeting. I don't care if that meeting is 10 minutes. We are going to make sure we're evaluating ourselves and saying, hey, was it a good event? Was it successful? Did we have enough people come out? If not, what did we go wrong? Why didn't we promote it here and here and here? Same thing at Oriented. We had those event summaries that we asked all the leadership to write. That was excellent. I still have them. It was a one sheet form. How many people showed up? How did it go? Were there any hiccups? What would you recommend? And then you signed off on it. You remember those? I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought they were awesome. I know you guys hated it, but you did it anyway, when that was important. So anyway, so what do you think about that? So let me finish. I guess it was like 2 to 3:30 meet and greet, 3:30 to 4:30 amphitheater. We all get together and talk about what we can do. Social media blast, take pictures and photos like crazy, videos of Chien Tan and send it up, send it all over the internet. There's a lot of things we can do. We can invite the media to attend, to sit there. It's not a press conference. They're just part of our conversation. They can listen in on our conversation. So it's not a formal press release. So OCAC shouldn't have any problems with that. And then from 4:30, 2 to 3:30, 3:30, 4:30 to 5:30 is the VIP tour around Chien Tan that we talked about at the last meeting. So we're going to go visit all the Chinese classes and all the places that we went to on the program. But the tour will end at Solomon's exhibit.
Oh, it's nice.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the full circle story, right? So
Hmm.
so we'll end it at the art exhibit. And I talked to Lisa about her father sponsoring the food and beverage, the reception at the art exhibit. That would be such an appropriate. It could be either OCAC, which would be appropriate, but to me,
Hmm.
OCAC should sponsor the initial meet and greet to welcome everybody, shake our hand. Well, let's shake hands. Let's kumbaya, you know. But to end it in the art exhibit by Solomon Sung, sponsored by Bertrand Mao. That is a press release. That is going to go nuts in the press. I like it. What do you think?
I mean, you've obviously put a lot of thought into this. Like, honestly, this is the first time I've heard this. So, I mean, it's just better to have a plan than not have a plan,
Right. So,
because I don't know like all these details, and you're educating me, and I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
but Jim, again, this forum where I can
Hmm.
talk to you about what's happened in the last week, week after week after week, and us being able to talk about it, archive it, have it in the records, it's important. It's part of the story. And one day when it does become a movie, the directors are
Hmm.
going to have their researchers go through all these planning meeting videos so they can understand what happened step by step by step on top of what I post on my own,
Hmm.
the stuff that I post on my personal Facebook feed. It's intentional. I'm not joking around. People may think I'm joking around. It may seem like I'm joking around. I'm very intentional. I rarely do anything without wanting to hit two or three birds at the same time. And I don't need to explain myself. I'm sending messages left and right to people. Okay, so the last thing, and then we're good to go. How are we doing on time? And we already passed an hour? Damn. The last thing is the way that I view so if we have no one helping in Taipei, because remember, we've lost, our Taipei team is in transition, is the way to say it, right? If we have no one to do anything, we're fine. People will show up at 2, meet and mingle. We're going to have the VIB tour. We'll go to the amphitheater. We'll get by fine. We'll have a great time regardless. However, if the counselors can step in and do a little bit more for us, that obviously would help to tie up loose ends. By that, I mean, the meet and greet should be handled by the Taipei ambassadors team. Just like you and Vince are the ambassadors team in LA, Cindy and Shirley are the ambassadors team in the Bay Area. Lisa is the ambassador team in DC. She hasn't found her counterpart yet because she's been busy. But the Taipei ambassadors team technically is the team to be handling the meet and greet. So they would be getting the name badges, they would have the registration tables, they would have the signs, they would have the mementos, whatever it may be. Whereas the programming committee, just like that meeting we had, Jim, with you and the SoCal people who are interested in getting involved with the reunion planning,
Hmm.
that's the programming team. That's different from you and Vince running a meet and greet. You see,
Hmm.
even though there might be crossover, maybe everybody's going to be on both sides, but that's the difference. That is the delegation of responsibility. That's a delegation of responsibilities because that way it makes sense. It has to make sense organizationally, right? And so, what I am really hoping is that at least one person can raise their hand and be the chair or the co-chair of. I mean, sorry, represent the ambassadors team and just handle the meet and greet. It's easy. Oh my God, they could do nothing and it'd still be fine. But we need name badges. We need a welcoming committee. We need a registration table. And also that's where we want to get our kids involved. So, so many local counselors have children our age too, or a little bit older. We want to give them a task like your kid and my kid.
Hmm.
Mine is already preparing. He knows he's going to be working, volunteering that day, So
Okay.
they might be at the registration table. Maybe we'll have raffle tickets. The raffle, I talked to you about the raffle and how easy it is to do this. Lots of alumni would donate their products and services easily. And so maybe
Hmm.
we have the kids walking around selling raffle tickets. Let's say we get 10 alumni vendors who run businesses. Josh Hahn of Turn Bicycles. Maybe he can donate a raffle of one of his top bikes, right? And the raffles can start at 20,000 NT dollars, whatever. And it will be displayed there in the raffle area. And the kids would be running around selling tickets, and those tickets would help us to raise money for LBAI, right? A, it helps us to raise money. B, we're helping to raise visibility to our own alumni businesses. We want to help them too. And C, it's engaging. It's fun for the people who are attending. It's a win, 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 win in every way. So I want to talk to the councils about that. So whoever is the ambassadors team would handle the meet and greet. And then whoever is the programming committee handles the amphitheater discussion. So by that I mean, again, even if it's just you and me standing on stage running the whole, ultimately, if nobody can help and it's just you and me on stage, we can do it. It'll be fine. It'll be great. But what I'm hoping is the counselors will step up and let them be the ones to figure out, okay, how many panelists, who should be on the panel? Should it be Solomon? Should Solomon be one? Should OCAC have a seat at the table? Should Chien Tan director have a seat at the table? Let them run with it. Because you and I talked about we're good at letting people run with it, right? We trust that they'll do a great job. And my ideal scenario is the counselors take over. Hopefully we can get two co-chairs to work together. The meet and greet really just needs one strong person to handle those details. It's not that hard. It's not hard at all. Or a raffle committee. They can build on their team. But the programming committee, my ideal scenario is two co-chairs figuring out all the details, leading the discussions. Where do we begin? We know what the goal is. We want to raise awareness of our position with Chien Tan, right? And for you and me to be in the audience with the microphones as people are asking questions. I don't know why I have that in my head. I guess because it's a couple of different reasons. One is because obviously it makes sense for you and I as the co-founders of LBAI to be on the stage and talking about this and getting people to, get their feedback. And that's to be expected. At the same time, remember how I talked to you about how Birthright Israel has two different independent entities,
Yeah.
right? You and I represent the US based entity, LBAI.
Hmm.
I really hope that from all this spurns interest from the counselors, local and overseas, to kind of take the ball and run with it in Taiwan. Somebody else is going to be the people to run Love Boat 2.0. It's not going to be LBAI, as we discussed, you know? And so, in a way, I'm kind of wanting the two of us to take a step back and give them the podium, whoever they is, right? To me, it's more structurally sound to enable the future generation of whoever's going to just take the initiative. It may not be Love Boat 2.0. Maybe a programming committee will form and say, hey, this is so much fun and so easy to do. Let's do this every summer. We know so many alumni come back every summer. Why don't we do this very same thing every summer? The discussion at the amphitheater could be different topics, whatever the priority is of the day. And it would be a boon. It would be an absolute boon. And then the ambassador team can handle the meet and greet part of it. You see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, I think you and I should take a step back from what's going on over there. And that's why for us to be holding the microphones, walking up and down the stairs at the amphitheater, and whoever has the questions, we're doing the Oprah. We're going to be the people, like passing the microphone around and letting people talk, and let whoever's going to take charge be the front, be the front face. What's the word of it? Be the face of whatever the initiatives that they choose to take in Taiwan. Yay, nay? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I mean, I am talking sort of philosophical here,
I
but
mean, you are, but like everything you've described is just fantasy right now, right? None of it's happening. Like we don't have anyone in Taiwan. So hypothetically, yeah, that's a great sort of like scenario, but like, are we any closer to it?
Jim,
No.
if you don't sit up, I swear to God, I'm going to do what you're doing.
Okay. No, it's because like I actually probably have to get going
Yeah,
soon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're done. We're done. We're done. That's it.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm done. Okay, everything's crossed. But
Okay. All right.
but thanks.
Okay. No worries.
All right. So have a good reunion,
Okay.
and
Thanks.
we'll catch up next week.
Okay. All
Okay. All
right.
right. Bye. Good
Bye.
night.